Hi, and welcome to the Tranquil Cottage Knits podcast. I'm your host, Michelle. You can find me on Ravelry as Tranquil Cottage, Instagram as Tranquil Cottage Knits, and you can find the blog at www.tranquilcottageknits.weebly.com. So hi, how are you guys? Happy Monday. It is not my typical Sunday post, and the reason for that is I recorded a whole episode yesterday and then realized I was just so excited to be recording outside that I didn't really pay attention to the camera settings, and I ended up so horribly backlit. I was a black blob, like all of this was a black blob, and then behind me was gorgeous blue skies and scenery. So I'm re-recording today, which I guess is good because I wanted to reformulate some of the things that I said on the podcast yesterday anyway. I might write some notes about what I want to say, but for the most part, I don't edit. This is what I figure. When you meet me in real life, this is kind of how I am. So I'm a little goofy. I mispronounce words occasionally. I get a little tongue-tied sometimes. It's who I am, and I'm not going to edit myself down into some distilled version of me so that when you meet me in person, you're all like, wow, she's an idiot. I'm an idiot straight up front. But before I do get into knitting and spinning, just knitting, there is no spinning this week. Well, kind of in a way, roundabout way. I wanted to talk about a project that a fellow knitter has going on. I mentioned a long time ago when I went to the Shenandoah Valley Fiber Festival that we had a podcaster meetup, and I met a couple of wonderful podcasters, Aquila DeHun, who is Aquila, and also Evelyn, who runs the Thistle Hollow. And I keep up with both of their YouTube channels, and they are really wonderful, sweet people, and it was such a pleasure to meet them and get to know them. So I wanted to mention today that Evelyn has a project going on, and if you have a few moments, I would love to have you check it out. I don't normally get into anything political or anything polarizing on the podcast. It's just kind of warm and fuzzy. It's home and life and maybe a little baking, but that's because baking happens in my home and in my life. And, the dogs and occasionally the cats or the bun, and, I just kind of keep it light. But this subject is not light, and this subject is also, it's reprehensible to call this subject polarizing. That's a bold statement, and I said it. So I'm sure if you guys just Google Larry Nassar, or you are even remotely close to the news, then you know about the accusations of horrific sexual abuse and the advantage he took of his patients. And it's horrific. What is even more horrific is the lengths that people went to cover this up, to hide this little, we're going to keep this for general audiences, but to hide the crimes that he was committing, the people who justified and excused what he was doing. It is absolutely reprehensible. They are wretched people. And so one thing that stuck with me, Larry Nassar's boss had reportedly made a comment that he thought that patients will lie to get their doctor in trouble. According to court records, this number is not even in concrete yet. He abused at least 256 of his patients. $256 people lying to get him in trouble? What's the common denominator here? When you have that many accusations. And I hope that that reprehensible waste of skin gets what's coming to him. And that's about as deep as I'll take that. But the thing is, some really good things are actually coming out of this. Changes up for changes that are coming up in legislation, people who are advocating in positive ways the enormity of the outrage that this has gone on, and that more so that it's been covered up and excused and allowed. And really, if you are aware of it and you turn a blind eye, you're condoning it. You're condoning it. So with my disgust and outrage of all of that, one of the great things that is coming out of this is support for the people who are stepping up, and in particular for the whistleblower in this case. Sorry for the pause. I had to go get a puppy out of the fence. So, Evelyn, the Thistle Hollow, is doing a project called the Sister Survivor Project, the Sister Survivor Blanket Project. Basically, what she is aiming to do is have knitters contribute and donate knit squares that she will then seam together into a blanket, and that blanket, it'll be 156 squares, and that represents the 156 girls who submitted impact statements for Larry Nassar's trial, and so 156 voices. And so she wants to do this and to gift this blanket to Rachel Den Hollander. She is the initial voice who basically started the ball rolling and has become such an amazing victim advocate. And I do think that this is a really worthwhile project. I think Evelyn is absolutely an amazing person for uniting knitters in such a great cause. And her thought process behind it is just so lovely and beautiful. She did her initial video podcast about the plans, and then it kind of evolved a bit, and then she did another video that had some of the more concrete plans and how it would come about, and she just posted an update that has where she has received the first squares for the blanket. And so I don't think that we as knitters, as women, as mothers, as sisters, I don't think that we can sit by and be complacent or silent or give a pass to these types of behaviors. And I think that sometimes the outrage is so strong, all we do is focus on the perpetrator, and we forget to rally around the victims, and we forget to lift them up, and we forget to recognize amazing people doing amazing things. And that's what Evelyn is trying to do. And so I just wanted to put this out there. If anybody has a few moments, please absolutely check out the Thistle Hollow on YouTube. She also has a Facebook page, and like I said, she's just an amazing and wonderful person, and she's doing amazing and wonderful things, and who wouldn't want to be a part of that? So join in and check her out. I will put a link to her YouTube channel on the blog today or tomorrow, as soon as I upload everything. So I will be knitting my square to send her as well. So on to the knitting and spinning. So Sizzle Pop is in timeout. I dropped a stitch, and last week was really kind of crazy and stressful, and so I just didn't have the bandwidth to pick it back up. I just I said I'll deal with this later, and I put it down, and I haven't got to a place where everything in my life, like the stress level and just everything I've got going on, knitting takes two hands, and when you're juggling things, you don't necessarily have both hands free. So Sizzle Pop is just on a small hiatus until I get some breathing space. And speaking of breathing space, have you seen that Joji Locatelli pattern? Beautiful. Thinking maybe I might have to knit that. So with Sizzle Pop taking up so much of my energy and my focus, I said I just need a break. So I picked up some bulky yarn that I just had in my stash, and on lunch last Wednesday, I cast this on, and obviously I haven't blocked it yet, but it is the Common Bean Shawl by Caitlin French. And she is French, F-F-R-E-N-C-H, on Ravelry. And again, I haven't blocked this yet, so my points aren't out the way they should be. And it is out of wool spun, bulky, and I just kind of put it around, tuck the ends under, and then there we go. Pull my hair out. And it is super comfy, and I cast it on Wednesday on my lunch break and bound this sucker off on Thursday on my lunch break. Talk about some instant gratification. It was amazing. So I was really excited after not struggling with Sizzle Pop, but just having it take so much of my focus. I was really excited just to kind of get some instant gratification. So this is the Common Bean Shawl, and it is with wool spun, which I think might even be a Lion brand yarn. It was there, it was in a bag, I grabbed it, I knit it, and before I could even really think about it, it was done. So, and Caitlin French has quite a few of these kind of just bulky little shawlette patterns. This is actually, if I wanted to, it is still big enough, especially after I block it, to just kind of go over my shoulders. And it's like just a nice handy dandy little shawl, and I love it a lot. So I am excited. Then Saturday was St. Patrick's Day, woo-woo! And I did not have any green beer whatsoever. I did work that day. I also got pinched because I forgot to wear green. So I came home that night and decided I wanted to cast something on that was green. And green is my absolute favorite color, especially apple green and lime green and grass green and shamrock green, and I just love green. Love green. And so I went kind of stash diving, and I found this yarn that I had spun, and it was one of the first yarns I spun. And so I just want to say this. I am not a perfect spinner. I am not a technical spinner. I am not a consistent spinner in any way, shape, or form. But if there was something that I could pass on to new spinners just trying to learn, this is the one thing I would say. If you want to learn to drive a car, you are not going to Fred Flintstone around in a go-kart or a push pedal cart, right? If, if you want to start wearing makeup and do makeup tutorials, you're not going to do that by grabbing a strawberry and like smushing it around on your lips and making it stain your lips red. You're not. When you want to do a job or you want to learn something, you're going to go get proper tools. That means getting good quality fiber. If you want to learn to write, you're not going to go get the stubbiest pencil that you can find. You're going to get a real pencil. You're going to use it. You're going to use something that is not going to hurt your hand, but something that's going to feel good as you're using it. The same thing goes with fiber. This is my Lulu cowl. I don't even know why it's named Lulu. But you see the colors. It Lulu fit. What I wanted was, oh, That was my woodpecker drumming. What I wanted was, first of all, this is some of my first spinning. It's not optimal. I'm telling you guys, there are wonky bits. Here, can you see these? Can you see how uneven that is? You see, I've got some parts in here that are very, very loosely spun. And then you can see, like, right in here, some parts that are very tightly spun. But I spun it, and then I put it away, and I loved it all the same. I can tell you how old this yarn is, or this fiber spun. I spun it years ago, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Maybe almost 5 years ago, when I first got my spinning wheel, probably about 6 months after I started spinning. This will tell you how old it is. This is gourmet stash fiber. Kate has not been doing anything in quite a while, so quite old. The colorway was Grinchy, and I believe this was a gift from my bestie Becky. I believe it was my birthday gift that year, and she got me the, what was it? The Broken Ornaments colorway for Christmas that year, and she got the Broken Ornaments yarn, and she just recently knit up her Broken Ornaments yarn. And I had spun my Broken Ornaments fiber a long, long time ago, and it's still sitting in my stash waiting to be used. So what I wanted with this was a cowl that was kind of close up around my neck, but got bigger as it went down, so that when I buttoned up my coat around it, it just kind of snuggled my neck so the wind didn't get down in. And that's exactly what I have. And the colors are lovely. This has not been blocked at all. And when I was making it bigger, I thought I could just do some bigger stitches that were like increases, and I thought, no, let's insert some lace. So I just put in a lovely little lacy leaf pattern there, and that's what gave me the increase. And then I also sexy hair, woo! I also did it in short rows so that this is the back and this is the front. So all the fabric is in the front, and there's not a lot of bulk up in the back of my neck. And again, this is the Lulu cowl, and it is wonderfully warm. And really, if you looked at this, unless you were really picky or really witchy, you wouldn't be like, oh, that's uneven spinning. Once it's knit up, you can't even really tell. And I think it is hilarious that so many mass-marketed companies, mass-produced companies, are really striving now to have factory-spun yarns that are imperfect to look the way knitters spin. When you have companies that are trying to mass-produce your design elements, your inconsistencies in your fiber, that tells you how amazing your fiber is, how wonderful it is. Because they see a huge market for that, and they want to fill that market. What they don't realize is not the product, it's the process. It's the process that gets us there that speaks to our soul so much. I have only ever gifted my handspun to one person, and that is my friend Becky from the Wrapped on Wool podcast. And I gave Becky some yarn that I had spun. It had a beautiful turquoise in it, and that was one of the colors that she used to pick up all the time. She was so drawn to turquoise, and I think she's kind of moved away from that phase in her life, but this was turquoise in shades of purple, and it's a self-striping, and so I worked so hard to be a technical spinner and to try to spin this absolutely perfect. And it is the most perfect yarn I have ever spun. And I did it to be a gift to her. So you put your soul into your knitting and your spinning, and you know, it's just, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not perfect. Life isn't perfect. You don't get better. Life doesn't get better. You get better at life. Right? Spinning doesn't just become easier. You get better at it. You work at it. You practice it. You invest in yourself. And you gain the skill. And it's amazing. So don't be afraid to use the good fiber. That's all I'm saying. learn with proper tools, learn with good processed fiber, learn with fiber that has been cut properly or sheared properly and cleaned properly and spun properly, or learn to do all of those things yourself. But start with the proper fiber, because there's nothing more frustrating than trying to learn how to write when you have a stubby little pencil this long, and maybe you're trying to write it with it on a whiteboard. How successful are you going to be? They're good tools for what they are. They're just not going to be successful in what you're aiming to do. Just saying, get proper tools. Your spinning doesn't have to be perfect. It will be glorious nonetheless. Oh, look at all those greens. Oh, makes me so happy. This is actually not even at all true to the green. This is like, that washes it out. That washes me out. Let me get the blue up next to it. It's a little better. But it is just this really intense kind of limey to, it's just all of my favorite greens. And again, this is Grinchy from Gourmet Stash Yarns. Sad to say that she's not dyeing anymore, but no. She had a medical, I think she was out for a medical concern, so let me phrase that. She's not dyeing yarn and fiber anymore. I believe she actually has a new baby, and if she does, that is amazing. So, I just had to clear that up. Wow, I'm really angry that I can't get your fiber anymore. How horrible was that? Okay. So, I was looking for another kind of, not quick, but just non-bandwidth absorbing project, and so my husband had mentioned this yarn in my stash not too long ago, and so I cast on a pair of completely and utterly boring socks. They're on my Carbons needles. The yarn is Lane Cervinia Forever. And every time I read the label, I laugh. It is 75% superwash, 25% polyamide, nylon, whatever. And I would love to know what this is in Italian. When you look at the label, let's see if I can point it out to you. For yarn, this is funny, it's irrestringable. What does that mean? To me, it sounds like what I would think my project was if I was a new knitter who dropped a stitch. So that right now is living in my Freckled Whimsy bag. That is the apple bag from the apple kit. And I just recently found this bag stored in my stuff, and I was so flippin' excited. Justin, my wonderful husband, had bought this for me as a giftie. And I think he bought it for me. I may have bought it for me. I think he bought it for me. But I was so excited for this because, number one, I love apples. Number two, I thought the bag was gorgeous. Number three, I love Freckled Whimsy bags with purple stripy fiber, or purple stripy lining. Smack myself in the face with my bag strap. But the yarn was Mustache Yarns. One stripedy stripe, one tonal stripe. And it is Perfect Sock self-striping in the apple picking colorway. How beautiful is this? And I had totally forgotten I got this kit. I'd totally forgotten it. But I needed a pick-me-up, and so I opened the bag. I saw, oh, wow, that's a Freckled Whimsy bag. When did I get, oh, and I was just so delighted. So I needed to pick me up, and this absolutely gave me a pick me up. So Stacy from Mustache, thank you so much for this colorway. It is so pretty. It is so pretty. And I still have the Daily Eggs colorway that she did. That is just, oh, so near and dear to my heart, because eggs, and I want chicken so bad. And as always, Carrie Lynn, you know I love your bags. You know I love your bags so much that I don't even know how many I own. That's because they're so reasonably priced and they're so amazingly handy and they're like the perfect bag. And then when I opened the bag up and I was like, ooh, ooh. Also because it had Tuft Woolen soap in it that I had forgotten about. This is the luxury bath bar, and it is in the lavender apple. I cannot even begin to tell you how good this. Can you guys smell that? Sniff harder. God, it smells. I love anything apple scented, and that is just so crisp, red, deliciousy in my nose. I love it. And with that, you also got the Tuft Woolen's sock soap in lavender apple. God, that smell is amazing. And I have not even flipped it open to look at it. I do love the Tuft Woolen's sock soaps. And basically instead, that's what it looks like. Oh, it smells so good. Basically, instead of using whatever you're using to wash your hand knits in, you just use the Tuft Woolen's, the sock soap, just like a bar of soap, and you kind of wash the knitting and you rinse it, and it works just as well as any other soap, but the smells are phenomenal, and the bars last forever. I still have one in, I want to say it was the honey scent, which was amazing. So, I was very, very excited about finding that bag and about, getting to see these surprises that apparently have been sitting there for a year that I completely forgot about. But it was kind of wonderful. I've been struggling a bit lately. There's starting to be cards and things out for Mother's Day, and I'm still having a hard time with having lost my mom. And so I'm struggling with that, and right after Mother's Day is her birthday. And right after her birthday is the anniversary of her death. So I've got those three things kind of coming back to back to back, like literally May, June, July. And so I'm having a bit of a hard time. And when I'm stressed, I kind of tend to do a couple of different things. I either shut down or I throw myself into work, become a bit of a workaholic. My husband will tell you I'm a workaholic. But I'm trying to be better, and I'm trying to do better. And I believe in signs. I'm one of those people who has always believed in when you need guidance, guidance will present itself. And I tell customers all the time at work about things my mom said. Mom used to tell me kindness doesn't cost a thing. So when a customer at work comments and says, "You're really nice," say, my mom always taught me kindness never costs a thing. And I had a conversation with a lady today who was talking about how she just doesn't understand modern technology and things, and I was telling her that I think some of the best things in life you learn sitting at your grandma's knee, shelling peas fresh from the garden. We talk about bread doughs, and it's just meeting people on a nice level. That isn't a level saying, "Hey, you're here to do business and we're going to perform the service and then we're both going to go our separate ways." It's saying, "Thank you for choosing us to come do your business, and we want to do our best to take care of you and respect the fact that you chose us. And you're going to respect the fact that we do good work, and you're going to, come in and have service done and pay your bill." And, it's just trying to be a good person and trying to see the humanity in other people. The harder I get, the more I struggle with depression. Like I said, these things, times coming up with my mom. The more I strive to be a force for good out in the world, and I strive to be kind to others, to possibly overextend myself a bit and be too kind, because that the old phrase, "Smile, it may be the only smile they see today," kind of that kind of philosophy. So, having said that, a couple things happened recently. One, I was at work and kind of doing my customer service thing, and a lady walks up to me and says, I try to do one random act of kindness a week, and she was, you're just such a bright person, and your attitude is so infectious. I want you to be my random act of kindness this week. I'm a LuLaRoe rep. Here's a free pair of leggings. How sweet was that? It just, when I feel like I'm failing at everything, it was just a reminder, a sign maybe that I'm okay, that I'm doing okay. And then today, I had a gentleman. Um, I was just checking on the status of his service and doing my normal thing. And he pulls out his card and he tells me he's a local business owner. And I said, oh, yes, we use your business. Sometimes we go there for lunch. And he pulled out his business card and handed me one and said, when you go in, tell them I sent you and your next lunch is on me. Out of the blue, no reason whatsoever. This guy just extends this kindness to me. And so I'm talking to the lady I was mentioning out in the customer lounge, and as I'm talking to her, she just kind of reaches out and grabs my hand, and she's like, you are such a wonderful person. Um, I told her, I got all teary-eyed, but I told her that I'm thankful for all of my customers, even the ones who are not happy, even the ones who are angry or take out frustrations on me, that I'm happy and thankful for every one of them because they give me an opportunity to go to bed a better person than I woke up. They give me an opportunity to look at things through another person's lens, through another person's eyes, to walk in someone else's shoes and maybe see their perspective. And while I may not always agree with it, it doesn't mean that I can't see the validity in what their experience is. And I'm thankful for that opportunity to experience the humanity of others. That got deep. So all of this is to say, there are amazing people out here doing amazing things. Evelyn with the Thistle Hollow is one of them, so please go check her out. Check out the Sister Survivor Project. Give her some support and some love and props if you can. And I will see you guys this Sunday if the weather's nice. Next Sunday if it's cold. Bye and have a wonderful week, and go cast on something fun and use the good fiber. Bye.